And welcome back to Hannity. So as the dust settles from last night's third GOP debate, the moderators from CNBC, they are now facing well-deserved widespread backlash. Now, many are claiming their questions were not only unfair, but extraordinarily biased. For example, watch this.
What is your biggest weakness, and what are you doing to address it?
Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign? You have as much chance of cutting taxes that much without increasing the deficit as you would of flying away from that podium by flapping your arms.
You'd have to cut government by about 40% to make it work with a $1.1 trillion goal.
It's not true.
It is true. I looked at the numbers.
You said yesterday that you were hearing proposals that were just crazy from your colleagues. Who are you talking about?
Now you're skipping more votes than any senator to run for president. Why not slow down, get a few more things done first, or at least finish what you start?
It raises the question whether you have the maturity and the wisdom to leave a $17 trillion economy. What do you say?
Unbelievable. Now, naturally, the candidates on the stage did not take this ridiculous line of questioning lying down. They fought back, and I argue they won. Watch this.
It's not a very nicely asked question, the way you say that.
The questions that have been asked so far in this debate illustrate why the American people don't trust the media. This is not a cage match. And you look at the questions. Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult two people over here? Marco Rubio, why don't you resign? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
You just listed a litany of discredited attacks from Democrats and my political opponents, and I'm not going to waste 60 seconds detailing them all.
If anything comes out of this whole thing with some of these nasty and ridiculous questions.
Judge, you want me to answer, you want to answer. How are we going to do this? Because I got to tell you the truth, even in New Jersey, what you're doing is called rude. So...
Here with reaction to last night's debate, RNC Chairman Reince Preibus. You know, I said last night, Mr. Chairman, that there was a winner last night. That was the Republicans on that stage. The loser was the media. I would argue that long after this debate is forgotten, people will remember how arrogant, obnoxious, biased, shallow, agenda-driven that this media is. I said in 2008, the media is dead in America. Journalism's dead. And I'd argue it's now buried as of what happened last night in Boulder, Colorado. I would assume you're pretty ticked off.
I just can't tell you how pissed off I am, but you're exactly right. I mean, when you take a deep breath and you take a step back and you say, okay, this is clearly a victory for these candidates on the stage because what they did was extraordinary. And I thought every one of them, I mean, Ted Cruz's line, you know, we're calling that the Cruz missile, but all the rest of them, too, did such a good job. In the face of just, it was insanity. I mean, just sitting there seething through this thing. I mean, other than, you know, thinking about hitting the circuit breaker in the auditorium that crossed my mind. You know, these are people who put on a pretty decent show in the morning on CNBC. They did a debate 4 years ago that was a decent debate. Obviously, we had assurances that it was going to be straight-up finance, which is what they do every day.
Let me
and
ask
what was
could
delivered
was
just nothing but a crap sandwich.
Hey, Hillary. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign, you lying to the American people about Benghazi? Oh, by the way, that has as much chance of succeeding as you flying off the stage, Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders.
Well, you know what was good, though? What was good is that the candidates didn't take the bait. I mean, look at Bernie, even though that was a patty cake debate on CNN a few weeks ago for the Democrats, Bernie Sanders was actually, though, given an opportunity on a silver platter to make political history against Hillary Clinton. And what did he do? He said, I'm not going to talk about her emails. So, you know, they did have a patty cake debate, but they also didn't take the bait either. And I think that unifying feeling after last night's debate was very good.
And they made, listen, in fairness to the candidates, every one of them on that stage made it far more substantive than I think the moderators wanted. Now, here's a question. We don't have the Democrats doing a Fox News debate. They have decided they want to boycott Fox News, or at least this election cycle. I don't see Hillary and Bernie Sanders doing a Fox News debate, and they should. We have great journalists on this network. I'm an opinion person. Wouldn't be me. That I think would do a great job. But if they're not going to put themselves in an environment like this, do you have to now reconsider, in other words, going forward, that maybe these liberal networks don't deserve the access to these candidates?
Well, 100% true. I mean, CNBC is a little different, but from here on out, I can assure you of that. And I guarantee you we're going to make sure that CNBC isn't hosting and moderating another debate with our candidates. There's no doubt. But MSNBC is not obviously hosting any RNC or candidate forums or debates. But you're 100% right. Here's what I will tell everyone. Everything's going to be reevaluated and reset. Every debate on the calendar is going to be reevaluated, reset. Look at the format, the moderators, everything. The candidates are going to, we're going to have meetings with all the candidates. We're going to make sure that we can do everything possible to make sure that last night doesn't happen again. I mean, you can't, once the lights go on and the curtain goes up, you can't quite stop it, but we can do more to prevent it. So every debate from here on out is going to be reevaluated.
I talked to Ben Carson earlier today, and he's having his campaign reach out to every other campaign in an effort to prevent something like this from happening again. I have my interview with Ted Cruz coming up later in this program. He was on the show last night. I don't think this is self-serving, but this is what he said maybe should happen in the future. I want to get your thoughts on it.
No one in their right minds thinks any of the moderators actually will vote in a Republican primary. In my view, Republican primary debates ought to be moderated by people who would vote in a primary. How about a debate moderated by Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh? Now, that would be a debate.
I think he's right. I mean, that's what, you strive to get to a place where the people that are doing the moderating are going to put on a fair show. That didn't happen last night. There's no question. I talked to Dr. Carson today, too, and we're going to be getting together with his people here with all the campaigns at the RNC. So
yeah, listen, in fairness, I don't blame you. I don't think anybody really could have anticipated that.
But here's the thing. We co-sponsored these debates. So although it's easy to just listen, I do blame CNBC, but I also take responsibility for the fact that now we've got to do everything in our human power to make sure that never happens again. So, that's why we have to take the bull by the horns here.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
You bet.